In the world of Jeeps, commercial trucking, classic cars, and motorcycles, the LED headlight has become a hot topic. My name is Chris with Headlight Revolution, and in this video, we are talking about 7-inch round LED headlights. Many of these types of vehicles use the same 7-inch round style headlight, whether they're new or old. Whether you're using the old style sealed beam H6024 or a modern style plastic 7-inch round composite like the Jeep Wrangler with replaceable halogen light bulbs inside. If you're using a 7-inch round headlight of any style, you should seriously consider a full housing LED replacement like these. These new headlight options are not serviceable, they are extremely bright, have an incredibly long lifespan, and in the majority of circumstances they are totally plug and play. In 2009, a company called Trucklight released the world's first drop-in 7-inch round headlight replacement for sealed beam 7-inch round headlights. It was quickly adopted by the military for its ability to survive harsh environments, its low power draw, and significantly increased light output over what was currently available. But a lot has changed over the last 6 years, and due to the popularity of LED technology, there are now many options to choose from, as you can see here. They are now brighter, stronger, and have a longer lifespan than ever before. And in this video, we're going to compare the options for you through objective comparison with measurements and manufacturer's public specifications. We will also do our own testing by setting the lights up in our stand at 25 feet from the wall to keep them all at the same distance and height. And while indoors, we can show you the beam pattern against the wall, and while we're doing that, we'll measure lux using this digital light meter. I want to point out two common themes that will come up in this presentation. The first is just because a company claims their light has a high lumen rating doesn't mean it's brighter than another headlight. We will see in this video that some lights with a lower lumen rating will actually have a higher lux rating than another. In real-world applications, the lux rating is probably more important than the lumen count. Now, lumen comes in two forms, raw and effective. Raw lumen is a calculation based on what the LED component manufacturer claims each LED is capable of. You take the manufacturer's spec, multiply that by how many LEDs are used in the final product. But the effective lumen, also called the actual lumen, is the real-world measurable amount of light the product can actually create. Once you put those LED arrays inside a housing with a particular power supply next to other heat-creating LEDs and behind a lens and inside a housing, all of a sudden it's impossible to reproduce the calculated raw lumen number due to all the factors involved in putting that LED chip inside of a finished product. If you're only being shown raw lumen numbers, you're not seeing the big picture. The other lighting spec to understand is lux that we measure with this tool. The short answer to what lux is would be to say how much light is present at a particular point at a particular distance. If your headlight makes 12,000 lumen but has an extremely low lux rating, then that high lumen rating is useless. The second common theme I want to point out is that a lot of these headlights are identical to one another and can be found from several different companies. This happens when a Chinese company makes a light and advertises it to American companies who then slap their brand on it. Some are like that, some are not. We tried to make it easy for you to understand some key features about the different headlights. So in this chart, we identified which headlights that we tested are labeled as DOT approved or legal to use on roads and highways in the USA. You can see most of them are. The ones that aren't are the knockoffs of the JW Speaker headlights. If you ever find a JW Speaker style headlight from somebody except JW Speaker, it's made in China, it's not DOT approved, and it is a knockoff of the real thing. The black one with all the little projectors, we recently saw that one of the companies is advertising this headlight as DOT approved, and I would be wary about that. If you see this style of headlight that says DOT approved, really do some digging and make sure that that's the case, because this is a generic Chinese headlight. Also, the Putco Luminix headlight is listed as DOT approved, and honestly, if it is, we think it's barely DOT approved. We don't feel like it's any brighter than the stock headlights, and the beam pattern might even be worse. So It says DOT approved, but buyer beware. One of the most common areas of using these kind of headlights is in a Jeep. And when you look at this graph, you can see everything where the headlight would fit in a Jeep. We're mostly talking about the Jeep Wrangler JK from 2007 and up. The only two that we don't think would be a good fit in a JK Jeep would be the Recon Nolden United Pacific 31300 and the United Pacific 31355. Both very good headlights, but the backside is really large. So if you're looking at putting them in a Jeep Wrangler, in a Harley Davidson, or a classic car or a bus or something where you think space might be an issue, try to stay away from these two headlights unless you absolutely must have them. Then be prepared to do some modifications to the backside of the headlight bucket to allow them to fit. But everything else is a modern size and style and should fit anywhere where you already have a 7-inch round headlight. One of the trickiest parts in picking out your new 7-inch round LED headlights is deciphering what the lumen rating means, because many companies actually rate it differently. When you look at the Truck Light 27270C, which is a very impressive headlight, it only lists lumen at 650 low and 650 high. And we don't think that's really accurate. We actually think it's probably a little bit higher than that. But then if you go to the middle, to the United Pacific 31355, it says low beam is 2100 lumens and high beam is 2100 lumens. Again, we think that's too high. We think that a lot of this information is simply incorrect. When you look at all of the low beam lumen ratings, you have JW Speaker 8700 Evo 2, which is one of the best and brightest in the lineup, rated at only 1770 lumens. And then if you go a few to the right, you see the Recon Nolden United Pacific 31300 listed at another 110 lumen above that. And that headlight is not as bright as the JW Speaker headlight. That's why just comparing lumen ratings is not a very good way to pick out your headlights. And then when it came to other headlights, like the Oracle 5774-504, generic Chinese headlight. You've also got the Budget Bagger near the end. Those headlights are all available from different manufacturers with different names because they're just generic Chinese headlights. And we had a really hard time finding consistent information to display in this review. So for the generic Chinese headlights, it's really difficult to know what you're actually buying because even though it uses the same components internally, they all advertise different ratings. And to make it even more confusing, one of the worst performing headlights that we tested, the Putco 12015 Luminix, has an advertised rating of low beam 6000 lumen and high beam 6000 lumen. We think this is insane. We think what's really going on is the low beam creates 1500 lumen and the high beam creates 1500 lumen, and for a pair of headlights, the total output is 6000 lumens. But even that I think is over exaggerating, because when you look at our videos for that headlight, it doesn't compare nearly at all to any of the other headlights that we tested. So just keep in mind that just going by lumen rating is not enough. You really have to look at the beam pattern and how well the optics in the headlight focus and control that light. So if you can't just go by lumen, what's a good way to do it? Well, we believe in comparing lumen and lux together. In this chart, we measured lux at 25 feet. This is only semi-scientific, and please keep in mind that this is our little sensor and we sought out the brightest part of the beam pattern. It might be 504 lux at the hot spot, but then as you go left to right away from that hot spot, lux decreases. This is not overall lux, this is not combined lux, this is maximum lux at one point. For example, the Putco 12015 Luminix had rated 6000 lumens, but only 128 lux on the low beam. Obviously there's a huge inconsistency, and Putco is betting on the consumer not knowing the difference to sell their headlight. If you look at the JW Speaker 8700 Evo 2 or the Vision X Vortex XIL7RD, they both have much lower lumen ratings than the Putco Luminix, but much higher lux. Lux is the actual amount of intense light at a certain point in the beam pattern. Lumen is simply how much light the headlight creates, but lux is how well it uses that lumen rating. So the Putco headlight could have 10,000 lumen, but its lux is still going to be really low because it's a poorly designed headlight. where companies like Vision X, JW Speaker, KC Highlights, and Truck Light can operate with a moderate level of lumen rating and get a really decent high lux rating. So when you're picking out your headlights, start with the lumen rating because that's what they advertise. Then look at our lux numbers, and then look at the beam pattern that we display. We do a detailed analysis on each one of these 11 headlights on our channel, so subscribe and go look at our other videos in this series. It's really hard to rank these headlights in a 1, 2, 3 list. You know, you've got the Vision X Vortex, which is a really good light. It has a good low beam, a good high beam. It's a unique design, DOT approved. It's really bright, and overall it's just a really great light. You've also got the JW Speaker 8700 Evolution 2, or the J series for Jeep Wrangler. And again, it's a unique design. It's super high quality, lifetime warranty, made in the USA. Awesome low beam, even better high beam. You know, you really cannot go wrong with either of these headlights, the Vision X Vortex or the JW Speaker 8700. Now that we're approaching the end of the video, I hope you know enough about the selection of 7-inch round LED headlights in the market today to make a decision. I'm not going to rank these best to worst. I'm going to let you make up your own decisions. All I will say is these 7 in front of me are probably the only 7 that I would ever recommend to anybody for anything. Lastly, I want to show you a snapshot of all 11 headlights. Here you can see all of our data. Feel free to pause the video and really examine this, and then go to our channel and look at the in-depth review of each one of these if you want more information. If you're considering buying the Vision X Vortex XIL7RD, do it. It's an awesome headlight. But before you buy, watch our video. We think you'll really come away with a lot of good information. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you were entertained a little bit. I hope you were really educated. And if you want to see what else we are doing with Headlight Revolution, visit our website, www.headlightrevolution.com. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next set of videos. And of course, we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.